My first few days were rough. That's called boot camp, where you actually go into basic training, you know, and they discipline you. You know, all of a sudden you got to get up 5 in the morning, and you got to, you know, everything's like set to a certain time, and after that, you know, you got up, you had breakfast, and then you went out and did, you know, physical training, actual exercise, you know, and after that you go back to your quarters, you clean up your room and everything, and you know, it was kind of tough for me because I didn't grow up with that kind of discipline. I grew up in New York. I was a rough, tough kid, you know, and all of a sudden here I am. I'm being told what to do and how to do it and when to do it. And that was something different. I spoke many languages. I spoke French, I spoke Russian, I spoke Armenian, and I spoke English. So, you know, I was very highly wanted kind of a guy for the military. You know, 5 in the morning, you go to the mess hall, and you stand in line, you know, and you get your breakfast, and then after you're done with your breakfast, you go and you do the physical training outside, and then after that, you have classes, and the classes, they would teach you how to assemble or disassemble weapons, okay, like a 45. After a while, you know, M1 rifle or whatever, after a while you got so good at it, they blindfolded you and you were able to put it together. And also, just like you do the Rubik's Cube, I was able to put guns together in a split second, you know. I was in boot camp for 11 months, and that was the basic beginning of the Special Forces. And I went through very, very tough training, you know. We walked 4 mile with a full gear. In other words, you had your rifle, you had your backpack, you had everything on you, and we walked for 50 miles, you know, nonstop, you know. I served in Germany, and I went there I was in basic training in Fort Benning, Georgia, and when we were done, we got on a boat, and the boat's name was USNS Buckner. I never forget that. And we were shipped to Germany. And we were on this boat, and there was over 3,000 soldiers on there. Most probably was the roughest, you know, the seas were like, everybody was throwing up, getting sick. But finally, it took 10 days. We got to Germany, Hamburg, and from there went to Schweinfurt, and we were established. I spent the rest of my time in Schweinfurt, Germany. It was much, because in Georgia we were basic training, basically 24/7. You know, you were like constantly, they were training you, they were preparing you, they were making soldiers out of us. And went to Germany, now it became like, now we were allowed to go out at night. We'd go, you know, hang out in the clubs, the enlistment clubs, and also we would go off. We were sometimes allowed to go off base, and we'd go to these German beer houses. The Special Forces we were the aggressors. Whenever there was war games, you know, just like you play basketball, you got A team and B team, you know, practice. So we were the aggressors. In other words, what we did, we would fight, like, you know, we would fight like we were the enemy, okay? We would set up these bombs, we would set up, you know, we used firecrackers naturally, you know, M80s or whatever, to blow up the enemy and all that. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Well, they were teaching us at that time, kind of judo, jiu-jitsu, and more than that, they taught us how to use the bayonet. That was because whenever you went into an enemy camp or something like that, they discourage you from using your weapon because you make noise and, well, they used to teach us how to use a bayonet to kill someone. You go in and you take a bayonet, you stick it from under the ribs all the way into the heart and you twist it, or you go from the neck down. And we did that practice because, basically they were making killers out of us. That was their main intention, to make us killers, to kill the enemy. They said, don't take prisoners, because prisoners, if we ever took prisoners, that would delay us. In other words, would slow down. Well, you kill everybody and you keep going. We were in Germany, we were doing a live fire exercise where you actually, fire live rounds. There were machine guns or guns or whatever. And we were all in foxholes. A foxhole is something that you jump into. So the enemy, the only way they could hit you, they'd have to have a bullet that loops down. But the bullets usually go straight, so if you're in a foxhole, they can't kill you. So there was a soldier next to me. Oh, when I jumped into the foxhole, this was this was not in Germany, this was in Georgia. When I jumped into the foxhole, okay, I heard like it was a rattlesnake. I'm in the foxhole, so either it's kill or get killed. So right away, I without even thinking, I just reached out. I was able to grab the snake by its neck, okay, and the snake wrapped itself around my arm and everything. But I had an ammunition box that was empty with me, so I took and threw him in there. And I closed the ammunition box, okay? I figured, later on, I would use it for show and tell or something. So the soldier next to me, his name was Pitts, and he ran out of bullets. He says, "Hey, Gugasian," he says, "you have any ammo for me?" I said, "I sure do." I threw that, I threw the ammo box to him with the rattler in it. So he opened that up. And next thing, now remember, we're firing a live fire. These are live bullets. This guy's running right down the hill, man. He's going full. People are firing. So everybody had to stop shooting, And they said, this guy went nuts. What happened? So they went in the foxhole. They saw this rattlesnake, And I was kind of punished for that. They gave me like an article on that. That was like, but to me it was a joke. I enjoyed doing it. We were in Grafenwehr, was in Germany. That's where they played all the war games, and there was tanks. Elvis was attached to the Fourth Army, which was, they were a tank battalion, okay? And we were playing war games against them, okay? But at that time, I went into the, into the mess hall or whatever. Everybody was out in the field, okay? And at that time, I was driving the colonel, okay? Because I spoke German, and I drove him, and I go into the mess hall, and I see Elvis there, and he used to drive the general, and I went up to him, and he was a regular guy, good guy. I made friends with him, talked, we just talked, army talk, basically, that's all. He was just like me and you, nothing different, you know. We had a USO club, okay, which was, you know, for entertaining and all that. And this is when we used to get girls from, the German girls could come, and basically would be, you know, they'd get up and perform. They'd have, like, let's say, they'd bring entertainers from America or whatever. They would get up there, and everybody wanted Elvis to perform, you know. And Elvis, he had a contract with Colonel Parker, who was his manager, that he could not perform, not even one song. So I got to know him, so everybody kind of like asked me, why don't you talk to him, you know, so, because I knew him, and I, you know, so I went up to him one day and I said, it would be great. I said, we're having a USO party Saturday night. I said, it would be great for you to come out there, sing for us. Oh, he says, I'd love to, man, but he says, I can't. He says, Colonel Parker got me tied up. He says, my recording contract, I'm not allowed to sing at all. So I kind of kept talking to him. Finally, I convinced him. He did. He came and sang, which was great. Everybody was so grateful for him, you know. Breakfast, I was always a big eater, you know. I would always have, you know, we'd go and in the mess hall, and you can have as much as you want, you know, huge amount, food, more food and all that. I used to love, like, I was a bacon and egg guy, you know, used to love it. I have almost half a dozen or a dozen eggs with a bunch of bacon. I used to love it. I used to eat. And then lunchtime we would go, and they would always have these meals prepared for us. They were all like kind of nourishing foods that they had engineered for us to have. You know, one day we'd have steak, another day we'd have chicken and stuff like that, you know.